Good morning. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark. This is Spiguyver Backpacking. Right now I'm in a hammock that I was in last night, and I'm warm, I'm comfy. It's really windy out right now, but that didn't change the fact that I slept really well, that I'm staying nice and warm in this thing. So this is what we're out here to talk about today, is this hammock. So I got out to test it, get some time in it, give you guys kind of first impressions of this hammock. So why don't I get up, get things set up, and show you guys what I've got, and we'll talk about it. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark, this is Spiguyver Backpacking, and it is a beautiful spring morning out here. Man, I've been waiting for the weather to change to get this way. What we're doing today is we're out here talking about this hammock that I've got behind me, some of the accessories that are with it, how I'm using it, what I'm doing with it. But I actually got it out last weekend as well, and while the temperatures were okay, the winds were just whipping. I mean, steady state winds of like 22 miles an hour were keeping me from being able to film. I actually did some filming, and it was horrible. When I went back to try and edit, you couldn't hear me. It was just bad, and I didn't want to do voiceover stuff. So we're back out here. Got a night in it last night. I'm actually gonna go ahead and make up some coffee right now, and then I'm gonna sit down here and we can chat about what this is, what I think about it. All right, so welcome back. I've got some absolutely delicious coffee here from Onyx Coffee. This is great stuff. I'm sitting here in this hammock. This is the new redesigned Superior hammock from Superior Gear. And what's different about this one is that, well, this one is their elite version. So it's got their 950 fill power. It's got that integrated underquilt, which is great because you don't have to deal with gaps. You don't have to deal with fiddling with it. It is the simple, take it out of the box, hang it, and you've got great, perfectly placed underquilt or insulation underneath you. But the big difference between this one and the one that I tested, I don't know, probably a year or so ago, is that this one has an integrated zippered bug net. You know, I showed that I got the Franke style, the bottom entry style bug net for the other one, but a lot of people really wished that this one came with the zippered bug net. And so Danny, the owner, listened to those comments, listened to what people were saying, and went ahead and put it together. Now what I'm in right now, like I said, it's the elite version. It's the 45 degree. I showed you guys it's spring. I mean, it's just getting into spring. The weather's starting to change. I no longer need those 20 degree quilts or the 0 degree quilts. Winter should be, for the most part, behind us. And so now as I'm getting out, I need something that's a little bit more for the mild climates. For those mild temperatures where, you know, 40s, maybe high 30s are what it's getting down to. Well, this one is a 45. I have taken it actually below 45. First night was 20 to 25 mile an hour winds, and it was like 42 was the low. But with the wind chill and with the, and I haven't used, let me also say this, I have not used a tarp with it either of the nights that I've been out. So it's been fully exposed to the wind. It's breezy right now. I'm in a pretty closed in area here with a lot of trees around me, and the wind is still, you know, it's breezy in here. Not like last weekend. Last weekend was crazy windy. But What I will say is that there's an added piece that I've got on this right now that we will talk about that definitely helped and probably helps push the rating a little bit lower. So why don't we talk about some of the details of this thing? Okay, now before we get too into the hammock itself, let's talk about one of the accessories that I've got on it that I think really helped out. Not so much last night, but definitely last weekend when I had it out. And that is this right here. This is an underquilt protector. But what's cool about this one is that it has all of the system on here that the other Superior Gear hammocks have with the cam snaps. And this thing actually snaps in and then has adjustments that really keep it on. So let's take a look. Okay, this is the Superior Gear underquilt protector that's on here. As you can see, like I said, it has these cam snaps all down the side, which keep it from having any gaps. I mean, it closes it up pretty nicely, especially when you're in there. A little bit of pressure on there, it really closes that up, but it makes it easy to put on, take off, positions it perfectly. Then on the ends, you've got shock cord that comes up and goes through your continuous loop right here and then down, and has a mini beaner so you can undo it, run it back up through there to take it off. But it also has a shock cord on the ends that allows you to tighten up and cinch it up so that it closes and prevents any gaps right here, which is really nice. So it adds a little bit of protection. It's an argon 67 material, nice and lightweight, probably about 4.5 to 5 ounces for the complete setup right there, just to get you in the ballpark of what it is. You can see it fits on there extremely nice and just provides really good extra protection. Locks in a little bit more heat, but it also really blocks that wind from getting in there and keeps that warmth underneath you. You know, wind going underneath you is probably one of the biggest things that's going to rob you of heat. So having that is awesome. All right, now I've got that underquilt protector completely taken off so you guys can see exactly what this hammock looks like the way it is. So here we go. Let's take a look around this thing. So you can see it is all fully integrated. It's got the hood over the top. The zippers go all the way up in, and then there's actually a cinch up there that pulls it to make sure that it stays tight, and that puts a little bit more tension on the bug net to keep it up off of you, which is really nice. You can see where the quilt is actually stitched in. So you've got really two hammocks here. You've got an outer hammock that holds the quilt, and then you've got the inner hammock, which is what you're actually sleeping on, and the two move together really nicely. So here you can see, even though it's a 45, it has a lot of loft, and while it would look like these baffles are huge, and so the down that's in there isn't going to be distributed right, I've had absolutely no problem migrating the down exactly where it needs to be, and it stays completely put. Now granted, I only have 2 nights in this, but those 2 nights have been awesome. He's got pullouts on here, and the pullouts, there's a loop both on the hammock body itself and on the net. Actually, on the side I get in and out of, I like to put it actually on the net because it'll hold the net up and I can sit down inside the hammock, and it kind of keeps it a little bit better. But on the side that I don't get in and out of, I do it on the hammock part. I'm not exactly sure why, that's just how I do it. So you can see the cam snaps that are on there. And what you can do is actually, if you have one of those universal quilts, you can actually snap that on here and make this, instead of a 45 degree, I've got a 20 degree, or I've got a 30 degree universal quilt. I could snap that on here, probably drop this down into the teens easy, and it's just another added piece of protection, which really is cool and adds to the versatility of this type of hammock. Now, the inner material on this one is a little bit different. So we'll unzip this real quick. You can see that the inside hammock is Cloud 71. So this one is, I went with the Elite, which is the 950 fill power, lighter weight, but then when you go with that Cloud 71, makes it even lighter. The funny part is the fabric of the hammock itself, the 0.71 cloud material, is lighter than the bug net mesh. This is a 0.91 bug net mesh, so this is actually heavier. Danny has been experimenting with doing an overcover made out of cloud. Not sure whether or not that's going to come to fruition, but it's something he's been playing around with. So Danny did a lot of prototyping, and I've been talking with him quite a bit about how he came up with this and different ideas and thoughts with it. Now, one of the things that people may find a little bit odd, while he still has the adjustable ridgeline in there, it comes from him set at about a 90%. So 90% length on the ridgeline. The sweet spot most people find is about 83 to 85%. So 90 is a little bit long, which means it's a little bit more shallow. Now, Danny played around. He actually finds that his 10-foot set at 92 is about the flattest, most perfect lay he can find. I went with the 11-foot just because I thought I wanted a little bit more room in there. And I've got to tell you, this is set at 90%, somewhere between 90 and 92% right now, and I wouldn't change it. I honestly wouldn't change it. The lay I get is super flat, super comfortable, and the key that he said is that with the width that he's gone to and with that ridge line, what it is, he said you can't get a calf ridge. And I've not been able to get a calf ridge. I have not experienced any calf ridge with this at all, and that is a huge selling point because calf ridge really sucks. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, but when you do, it sucks, and you have to like use your foot to try and push the fabric to kind of smooth it out. With this, I haven't experienced that at all. And that Cloud 71, what's nice about it is it's a softer feeling material. It's kind of plasticky, but softer a little bit than the Monolite. But what's nice is it has a little bit of friction to it. And so when you get it in place and you get in it, it's not really moving. Now, I'm not saying you can't slide around and move around on it. You still can, but it stays put a lot better than some of the nylons that are out there. Okay, so now I'm inside of it, laying here, and man, this thing is comfortable. And the thing that you notice when you get in, unlike, I mean, you've heard me say it with some other hammocks, with the other Superior hammock I've got, but the cool thing is that with a hammock with the underquilt that's either fitted to it or attached to it like this is, it's immediate warmth when you get in. There's no air gaps, there's nothing that you have to fiddle with, there's no warming up anything. You just get in and it works. It just feels nice. And that's pretty awesome. Now, one of the things I do like is with those pullouts, it does spread it out in here. So even if I come inside and, you know, my arms are across my chest, whatever, I've got plenty of room in here because of those pullouts pulling it all out. And the other thing that I really do like about having the cloud or a Monolite as your inner material is that you can see if there were any air gaps. And that's the cool thing. Going away from the Superior for a second, just talking about hammocks in general, a hammock with a transparent fabric, you can see where those air gaps are, where your underquilt's not up against you right. You don't have to worry about that with a hammock that it's actually integrated like the Superior hammock. So that's really nice. I'm going to turn it around so you can see kind of how I'm laying. Okay, so here you can see I'm in here. My feet are in, no problem. You know, the quilt comes up to right here. You can see where it's kind of lighter. So my feet are nice and warm. I'd have my top quilt on or blanket or whatever I've got on here. But you can see it opens it up with those pullouts, so I don't have to worry about it. The ridge line, because it's a 92%, is relatively low. You know, I can reach up there and get to things really easy, but it's not so low that like the bag isn't hitting me. And this hangs pretty low. This is a cool touch that they've got. So this is the stuff sack. It's got an outside pocket that you can put your straps in or your stakes, whatever. You can store stuff in there. The hammock itself goes inside of here, but it's got these two loops up on top that have mini beaners, and so you can attach it up here and you can throw stuff in here. Anything you want to get out of the way, throw in there. I like to throw my hat, gloves. With using this, I actually throw my charger, my USB charger, and a cable can cut straight up to my phone right here. And now I'm set up in a perfect position watching my show, and I've got it charging. So that's great. And look at that blue sky. That's nice. Okay, so let's talk about what this thing weighs and practicality of it and that type of stuff. So this thing, it is a fully zippered, bug netted hammock along with a 45-degree underquilt. No fuss, no muss, hang it, and it's good to go. It weighs in at about 28 ounces. You add the underquilt protector, that's about another 4.5 to 5 ounces. You add in any other features and it's going to start adding in there. But with this one being the Elite, it's a little bit more expensive because it's got the 950 fill power. These things start at about $299 for the 45. You can get it in a 15, you can get it in a 30, you can get it in a 0. I think you can get it in a -15 or a -30. So you can get a lot of different options in about 15-degree ranges there. This one's set up exactly how I've got it set up right here with the suspension, and this is their Elite Sling suspension, which is a whoopee sling suspension with a special hook that they've got and 4-foot Kevlar or Tyvek type straps. It is not Tyvek, I'm sorry. Kevlar or Dyneema type straps. This one comes in spec'd out the way that I've got it at about $485. So not cheap, but you're getting both a quilt and a hammock and a suspension. So you're pretty much ready to go. You can get something like a cheap Costco down throw or the one that I'm testing out here, which we'll talk about later. And you've got a setup that you can go out and do really 2.5 to 3 seasons. The one problem when you get into really the heat of the summer with a 45 is that you don't have any way to vent that. With it being on here permanently, you can't really vent it. So in the dead of summer, you may not want to use this. You may want to use something like just a cloud hammock and a 50 or 60 degree that you can vent or take off, but that cloud will allow a little bit more ventilation through it. But for the majority of people, for what they're getting out doing, something like this with no fiddle factor, a lot of people have problems with getting that underquilt positioned perfectly and working so that they're staying warm and really getting the maximum benefit out of what a hammock can provide. This takes all the guesswork out of it. It's there, it's integrated, no worry, it's done. So what are my honest thoughts, my honest feedback on this hammock? Well, I think it's a winner. I really, really think it's a winner. What I like is that the comments and the feedback from before about having a zippered bug net, Danny took them to heart, went back, came up with a design that works, and that's what's great. I think he's going to be coming out with a top cover for this as well, so you'll be able to swap out the bug net with the top cover. This is removable, so I could fully take it off and go completely topless. So, you know, it gives a lot of versatility, a lot of different options that you can go with, and I think that's great. I think that's something that people should be looking for, are what are the options that are out there. Also, this one just takes some of that guesswork out of the underquilt. I know a lot of people are intimidated by the underquilt. This gets away from that and makes it just dead simple. Just hang up your hammock and your underquilt is there. Comfort-wise, you know, I was a little skeptical about that 90 to 92% ridgeline. I really was. You know, Danny's been messaging me, telling me about it, telling me how it worked, and I honestly wasn't sure. I thought, I think he's wrong. He's not wrong. He's actually right. And I haven't adjusted this at all. It's still set at that 90 to 92, whatever it was he sent it to me at. And that's where I'm going to leave it because I am comfortable in this thing. I slept really well in it. Now, I will say not as well as I have been in my bridge hammock. But for a gathered in hammock, you know, a lot of people are thinking that deeper sag is what they need. And some people have been going to like 78, 79% to get a little bit deeper sag, especially as they're going wider on the fabrics. Maybe that's not the direction that they should be going. Maybe it's a longer ridge line, a little bit flatter lay, and not quite as wide is the answer. So maybe Danny's onto something, and going back a different direction than other people are going, and it seems to be working out. Can't wait to see what else Danny comes up with. I will be talking a little bit more about the suspension system that I've got on here in a different video. This is the Elite Sling system. It's a whoopee sling suspension with a 4-foot tree strap on there and then a double hook made of titanium on the end. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the section down below. If you haven't done so before, hit that subscribe button. When you do, right next to it, there will be a little bell icon. If you hit that and turn on notifications, you will get a notification every time I upload a video. I know I haven't been uploading videos quite as often as you guys would like, or as often as I would like. I'm trying to change that, trying to get out a little bit more. Things are starting to get to the point where I think I'm gonna be able to, so fingers crossed it stays that way. All right, guys, I'll see you down the trail. Thanks.